Hey, good afternoon, evening, everybody. We are coming to you from the great North Michigan. I'm on a writing hermitage this week, and this is our last of a series of 27 virtual author gatherings, I'm calling them. We've been doing this for our independent author Facebook virtual book festival all June. And tonight, our regularly scheduled author could not attend due to a death in her family. However, we have a new author in the room, Dave Kilgore. Hey, Dave. And he has graciously agreed to be our guest author for tonight. So, Dave, thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I would love it if you could, because I don't have any of your books handy. I would love it if you could show us the cover of your books and one by one give us a really brief synopsis, and then we'll open it up for questions.
We can do that. All right.
Awesome.
About 4 years ago, I've been involved in film acting for quite a few years now. And a few years ago, some of the moms of some young kid actors were asking me where they could find good monologues and scenes for their children. And I looked around, I found lots of books, but they were all age inappropriate, not very well written, or just really long monologues, things that, you know, kids wouldn't be using a 5-minute monologue, nothing for auditions or anything. So I said, fine, I'll write my own. So I wrote this one, 204 short monologues and scenes for kids and teens. And it's just really short, like 30-second to 60-second monologues and scenes.
These are excellent for high school kids for forensics competitions.
Yes. And they're great for auditions for young actors too.
Yep.
And I guarantee everything in here is age appropriate. Most of it's very light work, a little bit of serious work, and it works. Every one of the moms that asked me for these, I sent one out, and they said they loved it. Their kids loved it. It was just what they were looking for. And so far, around the world, I've sold about 1,400 copies.
Yeah, we had that book shelved at the scriptorium when we were open. It's a fabulous book. My son, who is now 30 but was in high school forensics, was constantly flipping through and performing for us when it was slow in the shop. So I know it's a great book.
All right, thank you. Next, in one of my writers groups, somebody introduced me to flash fiction, and I immediately just got so enthralled with it that I just buried myself in and read lots and lots and lots, read lots about it, and then came up with 150 one-page stories of murder, grief, levity, and love. Flash fiction, light, dark, and odd. And what I did with this, each story is one page, and each one-page story has a one-page picture with it to help put you into the scene. This one is one that involves my cat. Her name is Squeaks. She's Daddy's girl. But 150 one-page flash fiction stories. Then after that, I got
these flash fiction stories, by the way, also make great audition pieces for the actors in the world. They are great audition pieces.
Actually, I'd be getting to that in a minute.
Okay.
After that, I decided to write my first novel called Murder in Break Broke Pass, and someone's gonna hang. It's a Southern satire based in Tennessee in 1976, where a man named Harold Butler, here we go, Harold Butler's on trial for a crime he swears on his mama's grave he didn't commit. But the townsfolk are plumb giddy at the thought of a hanging taking place in their backyard, and they want justice, justified or not. And trust me, there are skeletons in every single closet in this one.
Yep.
After I wrote the book of monologues and scenes for kids and teens, I had a lot of the adult actors coming to me and saying, well, what about us? We want stuff too. So I came up with 100 short and effective monologues. And these are for the adult actors, original 1-minute pieces for adult actors to use in auditions, classroom, and practice. I don't like doing anything small, so I did 100 short and effective monologues. 100 more short and effective monologues.
Is that where the 100-mile bike ride came from?
And another 100 short and effective monologues.
Because why do 100 when you can do 300?
Go
That's
big.
right. And each one of these, besides having the short monologues, also has a good size section in the front, just giving a lot of tips for acting, for auditioning, things you need to do before going on set or going to an audition.
Excellent.
Now, Diane, as you had mentioned, that the monologues can work well as flash fiction too. Hi, puppy dog.
That's Charlie.
I decided, you know what? I've got 300 monologues here. Monologues are so much just like short flash fiction stories.
Mm-hmm.
So often interchangeable depending on how you write
Sure.
them.
Absolutely.
And I figured non-actors are not going to be buying my monologue books. So I took those same exact 300, I cheated, and I reformatted them in 3 books of flash fiction.
See,
Smart.
why
See?
miss an opportunity? This is a great marketing technique, everybody. Keep this in your
Agreed.
head.
Flash fiction in a flash, 101-page monologue style stories to read on the run. Bite-sized flash fiction, 100 monologue style musings to consume in leisurely slices. And 1-minute flash fiction, 101-page monologue style miniatures to peruse in spare moments. They're the exact same 300, but formatted without all that boring how to act and how
Actor
to
stuff.
audition
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome. What a smart man you are.
And in the meantime, I've got lately, I've really gotten, I say lately, into the last year, I've really gotten into middle grade fiction, which is
Okay.
8 to 12-year-old readers.
Right.
And I've read like 40 mid-grade fiction novels in this time. I'm just getting the voices, and it turns out that that's pretty much how I write anyway. Figure I think like a
Who knew?
12-year-old, right? Okay. So I'm in process right now of writing 5 different middle grade novels. I'm about
Tell
halfway
us
through
about
each one.
those.
Oh,
Setting, world, what kinds of characters, what genre? Tell us what you're doing with that.
It's a little bit of everything. It's all fun. One of them, which I actually have the first draft finished, and I got to go back through and massively fix it. It's called Little Artie Party Pants. And it's not just a book about farty stuff. It's your typical coming of age story of a young man who is rejected by his family, rejected by friends, by other people, and has to find his way in the world, has to prove himself and to the world. Beautiful story. I just tweaked it by making his little thing massive gas. But it's fantasy like. It's not the kind of gas that just like turns you off if you're in the same room. It's the kind of gas that blows back trees and shakes floorboards and rattles window panes, that kind of thing.
Wow.
And his big goal in life, because of the things he was taught by his grandma Ernie, is he has to seek out and find the annual Great American Flatulence Festival, win the flatulence contest, and win the crown of Royal Fartist. Okay. Then I also have one called I Wish I Wished to Meet a Witch, where a 12-year-old girl living near Salem, Massachusetts, in Peabody, Massachusetts, makes a mental connection with one of her relatives from 1692, back during the Salem witch trials.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually able to communicate in the same location, but at different times. I'm having a ball writing that.
Wow.
That sounds fun.
I've got one working on called The Boy Who Knew How to Tie His Shoes. Now, it sounds like a little kid thing, but there's actually more of a story to it. 12-year-old Philip in his town, Valley Peak Cove, has learned how to tie his shoes. And as the book says, you may not think this is a big thing because you've probably learned how to tie your shoes a long time ago. But in the town of Valley Peak Cove, where no one has tied their own shoes in over 100 years, that's a really big thing.
Wow.
Wow, what fun! I love your imagination, Dave.
The big company in town that makes sure that this keeps going this way is the Valley Peak Cove Shoe Tying Company. They're making a ton of money on the people in the town not knowing how to tie their own shoes. And there's the evil owner of the company, and Philip has learned how to tie his own shoes. And there's a lot of action in trying to make sure that Philip doesn't tell anyone else. And there's kidnapping involved and all kinds of fun stuff.
So it's a shoe tying mutiny thing.
Yes.
That's great. Wow.
And,
So when do you anticipate the middle grade books are going to come to press, Dave?
they're all going along about the same pace. So I'm hoping mid next year.
Excellent. Wow, what fun. Does anybody have questions for Dave at this point?
How can you write 5 books at once?
I'll tell you the same thing I told my wife. She says, honey, you work on all these things out at the same time. How do you keep all this straight? I just looked her dead in the eye and said, I don't know. I just do and writer's block, there's no such thing here. It goes for like 10 seconds and, oh, now I know who walks in the room. Okay. But if I start to slow down at any point, it's easy to just set it aside and go back and look at the last chapter I wrote on another one, and I'm right back on a roll in that one.
So here we go again. Last chance. Kate and I have been asking this question all month, and we're taking notes. Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I'm a hybrid.
Oh, that was very well done.
Yeah, see, now we
always,
tied, Kate.
Yep, we did.
I always start off pantser. I usually get anywhere between 5 and 10 chapters into it before I then decide, okay, I need to know where I'm going here. I need to know where I've been so I can relate it all. So that's when I start outlining.
So in your writing process, do you ever take chapters and rearrange them once you figure out the direction you're headed? Do you go back and kind of remold the story to fit the direction you're going?
Yes, I do. And one way that really helps for me is when I create my manuscript in Word, I also have all my notes in Excel. And I create an Excel file for every one of my novels, and I go chapter by chapter, just a brief little when it is, who's in it, one-line synopsis of the chapter, and I keep that going. So if I got, I'm 20,000 words into this thing, and I think, oh, wow, well, Jimmy's going to have to come to the school at this point, but when was that? Then I go back and look at Excel files. Oh, that's chapter 4. Okay, now I can run back, move the line.
So, Michael, this is a really good technique that you can use with your fantasy piece that you're working on, because you have so many different characters doing stuff at the same time. You guys should talk about this, because I think this would be a great technique for you, and you'd save money on software.
And it saves a lot of time forging through, 10, 20, 30,000 words or chapters, trying to figure out, where did I put this?
Yeah, it's a good way to have a drone overview of what's going on.
Yeah, and to say, okay, if I do this way, is this going to make sense? Is this chronologically correct?
Yeah.
Where you just go look at the Excel file and go, there. Nope, chapter 4 goes over to 1. Chapter 7 goes to 15. I'm good. Now just go do the same thing in Word. It's all fixed.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was on mute when I answered you.
So what did you say, Michael?
I said, yeah, that would be great for that dystopian novel.
Yeah.
But also probably for the one I started outlining last night.
Yeah, I'm especially thinking of your historical piece that you're writing.
The historical novel, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I never would have thought of Excel because I'm math and numbers phobic. And so Excel is one of those software packages I try to stay away from. But it works really nicely, isn't it? And you can color code stuff. It just occurred to me, you can color code stuff. So that might actually be a really good methodology for authors to use.
Well,
Absolutely.
Well, as mathophobic as you are, we should start a movement to put math books in the horror section.
I agree.
Yeah, I've asked the librarian to do that for years. She won't do it. Any other questions for Dave before I do my thing again?
I've kind of got a specific one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know that my favorite question this whole month has been about research. So I'm going to make it more specific for you, Dave, and everybody else can chime in if they want to. So regarding the novel, the one that takes place in Tennessee, I know that myself, when I was writing Southern characters, I'm from Kentucky, so that's just how I talk and how I was brought up. How do you make sure that you're being very authentic with the voices? Because I know Southerners, myself included, speak in a lot of metaphors and similes. Like, that's just how we communicate. How did you really capture that?
Well, my father was born in Decatur, Alabama. My mother was born in Pikeville, Kentucky.
Oh!
Right over there by West Virginia and regular Virginia.
Yep.
And I also had a great Aunt Bessie.
I'm sorry, I've just never heard it referred to as regular Virginia. That's great.
I also had a great Aunt Bessie Lou Chapman, what used to go down there and visit. And she would sit around and tell me stories all day long about, now, David, you know, when I was your age, you know, and as a matter of fact, that's kind of how I got married. My wife and I had gone down there before we got married. We were just going out. And my little Aunt Bessie Lou says, well, David, do you love her? I said, yeah. She said, well, then why don't you marry her? And she said, yeah, why not? And just, okay, let's get married. And so it was a wonderful thing. But anyway,
that's what you call Southern charm right there.
Yep.
but to your question, Kate, I've always enjoyed that kind of storytelling. So besides just being around the people who talk like that and told stories like that, I've always really enjoyed that. I've never been into reading adventure novels or future sci-fi, any of that kind of stuff, the fantasy stuff. I've always enjoyed the sitting back on the porch, looking out at the cornfield, passing the bottle back and forth between each other, saying, you know, I remember when your grandma and I used to come out here. There's this guy came into town one time, and he didn't look right, and we kind of told him that, and we didn't see him much after that. Just that nice, easy, down-home storytelling. I've always enjoyed that, so I think that makes it easier for me, too.
Do you write in dialect?
Good question.
Not overly, because I know that it can be taxing to the reader. So I try to put in just enough where you get the idea.
So more Mark Twain, less Uncle Remus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have questions?
Matter of fact, the Mark Twain. I still have my very first novel I read when I was 7 years old.
That's awesome. That's incredible. I don't know what happened to my Uncle Remus collection. After it got banned, who knows? Okay, so what's your best marketing tip? You know, we were talking Sunday about marketing. What's the best marketing tip you would have for authors? And conversely, what's the biggest marketing pitfall you found?
Okay, I'm going to take that in reverse here. Biggest marketing pitfall I found is that I hate marketing.
That'll do it.
As much as I can sit here day and night and just write and write and write, when it comes to marketing, I just shut down. then I think, okay, every now and then I'll Google book marketing. And as soon as it starts getting into create a mailing list, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Or, create a blog and do, spend 12 hours a day blogging. No, I want to write. So marketing, I need somebody to do that for me. The only thing I've been able to do really on my own is for the monologue scenes books.
Mm-hmm.
Is and I don't know how you can transfer this to other genres or whatever, but I joined like 36 Facebook groups about acting and kid actors and things like that, and not to get spammy. So like once every month or two, and I've got an Excel file with all my Facebook groups in there,
Okay.
all the ones related to acting. And I create my little marketing thing with the links to my Amazon author page and pictures of my books. And I go through and I take like an hour in an afternoon and post that marketing on every single one of those groups. But
It's
just
a really good idea.
just
Yeah.
once a month tops. Don't want to get kicked out for spamming. And it's really hard to say if I'm getting any results from that or not, because sales do this all the time.
And it's hard to track social media directly to sales anyway,
Right.
because you don't know who's seeing what on social media, and then does that translate into they click the button buy now? I mean, it's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. So
But that's a good idea to find groups that align with your book. That's a great idea.
and that's what's one thing I'm doing in preparation for the 5 middle grade fiction novels that I'm writing now. I've joined a bunch of Facebook middle grade pages.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't put anything on there yet because I don't have any books yet. I don't want to promise anything because I don't know for sure when they're going to come out. But when I'm ready, I will already have those set up in an Excel file where I know. I even put the clickable links in there, everything. So I go to the Excel file, click the link, it goes right to the Facebook page, go in, put in my advertisement, next. So
Yeah, and that's something that we were talking about with Bill Matthews on Sunday is once you become a known entity in these Facebook groups and you're interacting with them, you're building credibility, you're building a friendship, for lack of a better word. Then when you do go ahead and post those books, they're going to be less likely to block you because you're already involved, right? Anybody else have questions for Dave?
Anybody got any marketing tips for Dave?
Yeah, any marketing tips for Dave since he doesn't like marketing?
Have a presence everywhere.
There's a link that I should probably post on the group about marketing that is a reader's favorite link that goes into all these details. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Anything like that you can share with the group. I'm going to leave the group page up indefinitely so people can always go back and reference back to it and stay connected. But yeah, absolutely. Feel free if you find something that you think is worthwhile, definitely throw it up there.
If I may, interrupt just for a second here. Just want to make sure I get this in before we close down here.
Absolutely.
If you want to contact me, I'm at Dave Kilgore. I'm sorry, start again. I have a website, davekilgore.com, KILGORE.com, and I have a Dave Kilgore author page on Amazon. I can be found both those ways. And so if, Troy, if you don't mind, when you find that link, if you wouldn't mind pushing that onto me.
Yeah, I can do that.
Appreciate that.
Do you have your own Facebook page as well?
Facebook page, Dave Kilgore. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Dave Kilgore with the bald guy on it.
Just so you don't look for the wrong Dave Kilgore. Yeah, I was gonna allow you to do that plug anyway, but I'm glad you did it, and we'll do it again. Don't worry. What's a genre that you cannot imagine seeing yourself writing? What genre do you think you're just going to stay away from?
Well, aside from erotica, of course. Sorry about that, Troy. Um, this is going to sound unpopular here, but I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in writing fantasy sci-fi. I know
Okay.
I know a lot of authors that write that.
Yep.
And I can't even tell you when I read their material, like in my writers groups, if it's any good or not, because I never read that stuff. There are some things that just don't interest me. And again, I think like a 12-year-old, so the middle grade is really my comfort zone.
Okay. I know you're a member of Rochester Writers, as is Michael. I have been a past member. I'm an in and out kind of member for several years. I have a writing group that I facilitate called Prose Procrastinators Anonymous, which is an actual sit down and work on your stuff kind of group. I have facilitated critique groups in the past. What kinds of groups other than Rochester Writers do you participate in, and what kind of benefit do you find from writers groups? If you were going to suggest that an aspiring author, an established author, join a group, how would you recommend they go about doing it?
Okay. I'm in one other writers group now. It's a closed group. There's only 9 of us. It's been closed for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of very good writers and me. We are a critique group. I know Rochester Writers is a marketing group.
Right.
This is a critique group, and I find it very beneficial to have good writers to sit down with and discuss ideas back and forth. We have a 10,000 word minimum, or maximum rather, for our submissions. So we can get a good few chapters in there, or my last 4 middle grade fictions, I've taken in like the first 10 chapters and filled up the rest of the 10,000 words with my synopsis of how the rest of the book's going to go. So
Mm-hmm.
I can get, before I write 40 or 50,000 words, I've got the group saying, okay, this is where your story lags. This is where it goes really good. Helps me to form things before I go through the labor of writing all that. I have been in groups that are, let's say, less experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still learn from them too. I don't want to get mean here.
So let me ask you this. Would you recommend a writing group? Would you recommend beta readers? Or do you think that there's room for both in your writing practice?
I would say both. I've enjoyed the group. I've been with critique group for the last couple of years, and I've had a few different beta readers, and I gained benefit from all of them.
Okay. Do you, as a rule, send your work through a beta reader before you send it off to edit, or is that a depending on the project kind of thing?
I don't send my stuff off to edit to anybody else. I am me. I am solo.
Okay. Okay.
So my sending off to the editor means after I get all my critique from my beta readers and from my group, then I go back and edit before I self-publish.
Excellent.
So, I know that's not a good thing. You should have someone else edit your work.
Well, as an editor, yeah. I always say don't edit your own work because you miss stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't edit my own work because even though I do it professionally, I don't do it for myself because I know I'm going to miss stuff. So I'm just paranoid about missing stuff. That's why that's my primary reason.
Right.
Any other questions for Dave? I'm sorry, Dave, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Right. Not that it's a good excuse, but I am very, 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 very meticulous So I've like Murder and Break Broke Pass, I probably read 100 times over, slowly,
Right.
word by word, out loud. So I'm very careful.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm super careful too. My problem is that I'm working on so many projects simultaneously that I need another set of eyes. Just because I'm working on other stuff and I don't have 100% focus. So, any other questions for Dave before I wrap up our evening? No? Okay, Dave, give us your website and contact information one more time. And if you would, show us the books again and tell us titles.
All right. I'm Dave Kilgore. You can find me at www.davekilgore.com, DAVEKILGORE. I'm on Facebook. I'm Dave Kilgore. I have an Amazon author page. Just go to Amazon and type in Dave Kilgore. You'll find it there. And my books are 204 short monologues and scenes for kids and teens. Books for young actors to use in class and auditions and wonderful things like that. We've got flash fiction, Light, Dark, and Odd, 150 one-page stories of murder, grief, levity, and love with pictures. Very nice. And we got a Southern satire novel. This is for the adults. Murder and Break Broke Pass, about a man who's accused of murder. We'll see how that goes by the time we get to the end. And for the adult actors, we have 100 short and effective monologues, 100 more short and effective monologues, and another 100 short and effective monologues. Original 1-minute pieces for adult actors to use at auditions, classroom, and practice. And those same 300 monologues are used for non-actors, reformatted in flash fiction books, 1-minute flash fiction, bite-sized flash fiction, and flash fiction in a flash, 100 stories in each one. And lots more to come.
And the middle grade is due out probably next year, right?
I would say mid-2021, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks again, Dave, for being our guest author this evening. I appreciate you filling in last minute. As I said, I'm on a writing hermitage in Northern Michigan, so your Zoom thingy will be up probably when I get back after the 4th.
Cool.
And I will make sure to link you over to it so you can use it in your marketing endeavors.
Groovy. Thank you.
Thanks again, everybody, for coming. I appreciate you spending some time with us this summer. Charlie says bye. See you later.
Hey, Charlie.
And
Bye.
check out pagespromotions.com
Bye.
for editing and promotional services. Check out our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. And if there's enough interest for another virtual book festival, we'll do it again in October. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank you.
holiday. Bye-bye.
Bye.